So a while back I bought Final Fantasy VII on my Switch because I had some money left over and I didn't know what else to buy. I played it, absolutely loved it, and stopped 2 hours in. But as you all know, Sephiroth was added to Smash recently and that was the perfect excuse to finally finish an anime game. 2 months later. But I did finally finish the game and I'm obviously the most qualified person to talk about it. So without any further ado, this is the official Final Fantasy VII review. This game at its core is a pretty basic RPG. You travel around the world, go into different towns, dungeons, and have to deal with the godforsaken random encounters. But there's one thing this game has that most other RPGs don't. An actual story. Now I haven't played many RPGs in my life other than a few Pokemon games in the beginning of the original Paper Mario, but the ones I have played have had minimal stories on top of pretty fun battle systems. Final Fantasy VII throws out the window with an incredible story and a stinky ass battle system. Listen, the battle system isn't the worst thing out there, but it isn't great at all. It doesn't rely on turn-based combat and instead is based off a timer for each character in battle. At first glance, this battle system may seem fine, but good god it is slow. The time between each move is astoundingly long, and on top of that, certain things in the battle, such as the enemy attacking or something, it will freeze the timer. And that's fine and all, but I've had multiple experiences where nothing is happening in a battle for a solid 15 seconds before either me or the enemy actually attacks. Luckily, the Switch version of this game has a feature where if you press down the left joystick, the game moves in ×3 speed. But when it's moving in ×3 speed, it is insanely hard to control, and it makes the enemy can attack you easier when you're scrambling to try and find the heal command. Speaking of exclusive Switch extras there are, pressing down the right joystick will enable Battle Boost. What are Battle Boosts? I had to use the ×3 option nearly the entire game, and I did not use the Battle Boosts at all. I swear, I did not use them. I am not a fraud. So at the start, the battle system, at least to me, was pretty bad. But later in the game, I began to kind of like it, and then I started to really like it. That was a joke, it stayed pretty mediocre the entire game. You start off with just the normal attack, but then later in the game it decides to give you this long-ass tutorial on an items called materia. Basically the magic spells that you can use. You got like fire and ice and stuff, whatever. The whole magic thing to me was super complicated, and personally I wish it took like the Earthbound route, where you had to unlock more as you leveled up and you don't have to like organize everything and choose who gets what. And obviously it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks, because only my opinion matters, because it's my review! Anyways, whenever you're not going around getting into battles, you're traveling across the world map looking for towns, dungeons, whatever, normal RPG stuff. This world map is huge, so as you progress in the story, you unlock new vehicles so that you can access different areas or go back to previous ones. Some of these vehicles can be super useful, like the car or the helicopter, but then there's also the submarine. You use this for 2 things in the entire game. Regardless, each vehicle is pretty cool. And Jesus Christ are these things required, because oh my god it is slow to walk across the map. Also, it's fair to point out that all the dungeons and levels in this game are just 2D images that you have to walk across. Okay, this makes it so these areas can be insanely confusing on where to go or where the exit is. Luckily the Switch version fixes this as well. When you press the minus button on the controller, all these arrows pop up on the entrances and there's a pointer above Cloud when you're moving. I really wish this was not as useful as it was. Still, I didn't think the gameplay was the greatest. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't incredible by any means. It was just okay. But why would I keep playing if the gameplay is just mediocre and not great? Well, that's where the story comes into play. In my opinion, the story was by far the best part of this game. If you guys haven't played the game yet and don't want it spoiled, probably shouldn't be watching this video, but I'll put a timestamp up for when the next section of the video is. You can just click there. Anyways, now that all the losers are gone, let's talk about this game's story. The best part! In Final Fantasy VII, you play as Cloud Strife, an ex-soldier member, which to my understanding is a section of the army that has like the most powerful guys, well, soldiers, yeah. Cloud joins an eco-terrorist group called Avalanche, led by Barrett Wallace, and accompanied by Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse. Don't worry, you won't need to remember them. Also accompanied by Tifa Lockhart, a character who you will have to remember. Avalanche is trying to take down the Shinra Power Company because they're trying to kill the Earth for money. Or something like that, I have no idea. You see, basically the entire planet is about to die because Shinra owns everything. Most prominently seen in Midgar, a city that is super run down with thugs and evil houses. The gang of characters go to blow up a Shinra power plant thing, accidentally killing a bunch of people, and in the process supposedly killing Cloud. Cloud is separated from the rest of the group and meets the innocent flower girl, Aerith. Don't worry, you won't have to remember her either. First off, I just want to ask, is it Eris or Aerith? The entire game I thought it was Eris, but after looking it up I realized it was spelled Aerith the whole time. But also on the wiki page I'm using, and most walkthroughs, it's spelled Eris. I have no idea what it is, so I'm just going to alternate between the two. Eris joins Cloud on his adventure and is later revealed to be a super magic person known as a Cetra. Shinra really wants to capture the Cetra for experimenting or something, so Cloud has to protect Aerith from the Shinra guards trying to kidnap her. After going through the Midgar slums, meeting Tifa again, getting a woman's underwear from a vending machine and catfishing a pimp, you meet up with Barrett again. Barrett, Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse are all trying to attack the Shinra. It doesn't go over too well. An entire section of the city is destroyed. Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse all die alongside most of the people living there. Eris is kidnapped in the process, so now Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa have to go save her. They travel to a massive Shinra building and have to climb up a bunch of stairs. You get a bunch of really important dialogue here, such as, well, I can't say that, I'm gonna get cancelled. You get to the top of the building and a few important things happen. For starters, you meet a doggy who can talk. You save Aerith and are introduced to a scientist known as Hojo, who will become more important later on, and come across a door labeled Genova. The gang gets captured by the president of Shinra and locked in cells, but when you wake up the next day, your door is open and, get this, everyone is dead. You find a comically large sword stabbed into the president's back, that sword belonging to, of course, one of the greatest villains of all time, Sephiroth. Not only does this raise the question of why Sephiroth would just leave his sword there, but apparently Sephiroth is supposed to be dead 5 years ago. Cloud and the gang still have to escape, however, but in the process they come across the president's son, Rufus. You have to beat Rufus up, but he gets away, and now the only thing to escape through is through a freaking epic motorcycle minigame, accompanied by bad CGI cutscenes. You have to run away from Midgar in order to avoid the Shinra easier, and then you have to split into 2 teams, also known as Who Has to Go with the Dog. You reach a small town and arrive in an inn where Cloud explains his backstory to the group. Basically, he was sent on a mission with Sephiroth, who at the time was also a member of Soldier. That mission happened to be at Cloud and Tifa's hometown, and I forget if I explained this earlier, but Cloud and Tifa were childhood friends, which is why she wants to stick with him throughout the journey. Cloud and Sephiroth go to Cloud's hometown because of a monster problem in the area, and are accompanied by Tifa as well, who is the guide. I don't know why they would need a guide, that doesn't really make sense. You find a Shinra power plant, go inside of it, and there's another door labeled Genova. Sephiroth has a temper tantrum and you go back into town. The next 3 days you're there, he locked himself inside of a mansion studying on, I don't know, something about Genova, whatever, who cares. Apparently he does because he burns down the entire town and kills you and Tifa's parents. You go back into the Shinra power plant to confront Sephiroth, and while fighting him, Tifa gets stabbed. Yeah. How did she live? I don't know, but Cloud and Sephiroth have a standoff, and the most epic part of the game is about to take place. Just kidding, the flashback ends. Eventually, your party travels across the sea and ends up in Barrett's hometown, and everyone in the town is blaming Barrett for why it's so run down and destroyed. It's explained through flashbacks that Shinra tried to build a reactor in his hometown, an idea that Barrett agreed on. A few days later, the Shinra attacked his hometown, killing his wife and a ton of other civilians, leaving only Barrett, his daughter Marlene, and his friend dying. You then travel to a giant casino known as the Golden Saucer. Once you show up, you meet the best party member in the whole game, Kate Sith. I have no idea how to pronounce this, so I'm just going to sound it out. You know what? No, I'm just going to be calling it Cat Sith throughout this video, because that's what it is. A cat. So you're having a ton of fun in the casino, and then you're framed for murder and sent to a concentration camp. Barrett confronts his old friend, and just like normal prison, all you have to do to get out is win a bird race. Not only do you get free passage, but you also get a car! You travel a bit more through the map until you reach a place called the Cosmo Canyon, Red 13's home. I don't know if I even mentioned this, but the dog's name is Red 13. You meet this old guy who's apparently Red 13's grandfather. Don't know how that works, but you go on this whole adventure with Red 13 about his past or whatever. And I remember playing this part and that being, get this, not that fun. After Red 13 knows about his past, the gang keep traveling until they show up back in Cloud's hometown. There's a bunch of super confusing lore stuff going on here. Something about Cloud not existing or something. Whatever, too confusing for me. The only thing I took away from this part is all the hooded guys that were here. You run into Sephiroth, and he explains how he's trying to get the black materia so he can destroy the world and become a god. This isn't even the extent of how confusing this game gets. Hey guys, editor's note right here, but I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about in this part of the video. Because you don't get to that part before you have to go through the next few parts to get to this part. So I don't know why I brought it up now and not after the next few parts. So just forget about everything I'm saying right now until I start talking about the Temple of the Ancients, alright? Thanks guys. You keep following Sephiroth until you reach another town known as Rocket Town. There, you meet the next character you add to your party, Sid. Sid wants to go to space. That's his backstory. He almost went once, but then he didn't. Now he wants to save the world. Now Cloud has to go to this temple to try and catch Sephiroth. That also happens to be the Temple of the Ancients. You hear more about the black materia, and apparently it can summon a giant meteor to just kind of kill everything. The same meteor that destroyed Aerith's kind 2,000 years ago. That doesn't make sense. How is the meteor alive again? It's a rock. You also hear that to enter the temple, you have to get a certain keystone, otherwise it will remain locked. That's how keys work, if you didn't know. And where is the keystone exactly? Well, obviously the owner of the casino has it. Jesus, just think about that. The fate of the entire planet is basically left in the hands of this guy. Anyways, everyone has to go back to the casino to convince the owner of it to give you the keystone. Obviously, it isn't going to be easy to get him as it's super valuable. Oh, hey, he just gave it to me upon asking. You stay at the casino for a night, and during that, you go on a date with one of your party members. You can go on a date with Barrett, yeah. Get important dialogue, find out Cat Sith is a spy. Wait, what do you mean Cat Sith is a spy? He was my favorite character! Well, I guess that means he has to leave the party. Because obviously, why would we keep him around if he worked for the Shinra? You see, there's this fan theory that's been going around for the longest time that Cloud is a dumbass because he decided to keep Cat Sith around. Whatever. Cat Sith gave the keystone to Shinra, and now you gotta go get it back. Cloud arrives back at the temple, and wouldn't you guess there's a dying person on the ground who just gives you the stone. Nice. Sephiroth took control of your body or something and made you give him the black materia after you get it. Oh yeah, and you also beat the hell out of Aerith. You wake up later and you have to track down Aerith. She said that she's run off to face Sephiroth by herself, and good God, you can tell how that went down. You and your party members go to some mushroom land and find Aerith kneeling on the ground praying. Oh wow, that's cool. I'm just glad she's alright and Sephiroth and get. Oh, okay, it's fine. Cloud snapped out of it. He didn't kill her or anything. As if they would kill off one of the main characters only halfway through I don't know how they did it, but somehow they used this terrible CGI and managed to make this cutscene actually mean something. End of part 1. Okay, so you're telling me I'm 20 hours into this game, and they're just gonna start throwing parts at me? I get that the original game was in 3 discs, but come on. What a better way to mourn the death of a loved one by immediately going snowboarding. You arrive at this mountain that Shinra is also trying to get to because of the mass amounts of Mako? Hold on. The mass amounts of Mako energy there. Mako is the energy source that Midgar runs on, and it's running out, so Shinra needs to find a way to get more of it. You have to defeat a form of Genova, and then it drops the black materia. Instead of having Cloud hold it, you give it to one of your party members instead. A bunch of more confusing stuff happens. I'm not going to try and analyze it, but Cloud and Tifa show up in the center of the mountain, where all the Mako is. Cloud and Tifa find the true Sephiroth body, not just some illusion created by Genova. He also hypnotizes Cloud again to give him the black materia. Okay. Yeah, so now Cloud is like mega hypnotized and is told that he's a clone of Sephiroth. Okay. And then Cloud just kind of dies for some part of the story. Okay. Barrett, Tifa, and the others go with President Rufus and the rest of Shinra. They're all being buddy-buddy with each other, and then Tifa and Barrett are lined up for execution. Don't you hate it when that happens? Cat Sith betrays Shinra, however, and everyone breaks out and steals a helicopter blimp thing. Oh yeah, and these guys show up. I have no idea what these things are. I thought there was only one of them, but apparently there's like a ton. I don't know, on with the story. Now the gang minus Cloud just trying to find the huge materia. Yes, that is what it's canonically called. Huge materia. Take a wild guess as to what it is. You're going on your way, finding all this huge materia, then oh hey, it's Cloud. Cloud got a bunch of Mako poisoning and ended up in a wheelchair. Not sure how those two things correlate, but regardless, Tifa says she has to stay behind with him. And hey, they fell into a pit of poisoning. You go into Cloud's subconscious and discover his true past. Turns out, he never was a soldier member. Rather, he was just a normal soldier in the military, with his friend Zack being in soldier. This was also the part of the game where we got this cutscene. Yeah. People either had two reactions to this cutscene. Either A, oh, so that's Cloud's true backstory. Or B, who the hell is Zack? Now we're in space. Remember that old guy from earlier? Well, basically, he explains that Eris went to the one mushroom place in order to summon Holy, the Earth's protector, I think. Don't worry, that will be important later on, guys. That one guy appears again, and you have to kill him, except you don't, because Shinra shoots a big gun at him, hoping to kill Sephiroth. They don't. But now the gang can finally go back into the mountain where Sephiroth is. Unfortunately, the meteor is already approaching the planet, so the most they can do right now is just to kill Sephiroth. End of part 2. Okay, I get that the game is split into 3 discs, but did you really need a whole other disc just for the last hour of the game? The first disc lasts around 15-20 hours, which is a lot. The second disc is like 10-15, which is also okay. And the third is 1. It doesn't feel really that hard to make them at least into 2 discs. But regardless, this is basically the end of Final Fantasy VII. Your party travels into the depths of the mountains. There are a lot of splitting paths, and along the way you have to choose which one to go on, along with the characters you want to use. I don't know about anyone else, but I had a major difficulty spike in this part of the game. This game isn't a difficult one, not by any means, but when you have no idea how to use materia and have played in ×3 speed the whole time, it gets pretty difficult. Anyways, you go through some super tough enemies, like this stupid guy with a knife that takes like 15 minutes to kill, and this elixir guy. I got softlocked here twice, but finally, you make it to Sephiroth. You get one final chance to pick party members, and you're thrown into the battle. What's the lore behind a massive Sephiroth god with a wing hand? I don't know, but you managed to kill him, and now it's up to the Earth to save everyone. So, Sephiroth is dead, for real this time, and you also managed to kill Genova. You then get this long cutscene that shows what happened to the planet. Basically, the planet calls for the life stream, holy whatever, and the meteor is destroyed. I think. It is hard to tell if everyone dies in this cutscene, or if everyone lives. I have no idea. Wow, what a great game. I wonder what after-game content it has. Damn it! I hate it when games do this. You spend all this time to finish it, and you're all excited to see what happens next, and then boom, go to last save. Yeah, I know there's after-game stuff you can do, but at least have the characters be happy or something, man. Well, that pretty much wraps up the main story. I missed a few characters like the Turks, Vincent, Yuffie, whatever. There's a lot of mispronounced words in this game. I don't know. But I think I covered almost everything. I hope. People, please don't flame me in the comments. Another reason why I like this game so much is because of the cast of characters. Each one is unique and different in their own way. It's awesome. You'll notice a lot of characters just have an overly sized something. Super big sword, super big body, super long sword, super big... Well, anyways, one of the things I love about this game is that each and every character has a backstory. Every party member you get will have at least one quest or mission or whatever that relates to them or their history. The problem with that, however, is that most of the characters have around the same amount of backstory and character built into them. That's fine, but Aerith, one of the main characters, and probably the second most important in the whole game, had pretty much the same amount of backstory as Red 13. Some characters definitely deserve more than others, but I think it's still pretty cool that each character has their own time to shine. Even the two unlockable characters, Vincent and Yuffie, have backstories as well. I had no idea who these two were until I was doing research for this video. Well, I may as well talk about all the characters. Nothing better to do. So you got Cloud, yeah? He's Spiky hair, cool sword, good character. That's all I have to say. I actually really like Cloud. He's probably one of my favorite characters. He has a cool backstory, isn't a cocky asshole like most other generic video game protagonists. Pretty cool. Barrett has some controversy with him because of his stereotypes. Oh, come on, man. I love this guy. He's great. Tifa is actually a really cool character if you look past her terrible character design. Eris is supposed to be the fun and, get this, quirky version of Tifa. Again, I don't like Aerith that much, but she's not terrible, I guess. She's fine. Red 13? Haha, funny doggy. Sid? I don't know, man. Sid is not one of my favorite characters. When you meet him, he is a complete asshat. But don't worry, guys. At the end of the story, he has a complete personality change. Just kidding. He stays an asshat. Cat Sith? Funny kitty. And the two unlockable characters, Vincent and Yuffie. Again, I have no idea who these guys are, but one of them is a vampire, I think. That's pretty cool. But of course, there aren't just party members in this game. There are other characters that are actually pretty cool as well. Some of them being the Turks, Reno, Rude, Alina, basically the light-hearted villains in this game. President Rufus and Heidegger are pretty cool smaller villains, and Scarlet is the worst part of this game. Bugenhagen. That's just a fun name. Come on, you gotta give him credit for that. Bugenhagen is the generic wise old man. That's all there is to him. Ah yes, Don Cornero, the mega pimp who manages to get catfished and then doesn't appear in the game a single time after that. Such a good character. And of course, probably my favorite character in the game, Sephiroth. Probably one of the coolest video game characters I've ever seen, other than the dolphin from Star Tropics. It's not even like he has a super cool backstory or motives. He's just cool. He literally burned down an entire village just for the hell of it. And look at that sword, man! I wanted to talk about Tifa's dad more, but he dies after like 4 boxes of dialogue. So this game has some serious bangers. For every setting, mood, whatever, there's a song to accompany it. You got the songs that play whenever there's a timer or you gotta go fast. You got the happy songs that can also be the sad songs. Oppressed People, literally the best song in the game. Scary songs, angry songs. There's like 10 different songs that are just about chocobos, but each song is pretty good to pretty great. Here's the problem with these songs though. They are replayed a lot. In the entire soundtrack, there's a total of 85 songs, and out of that list, I remember like 8 or 9 of them. But that's only because some songs are only played once or twice, while others are used tons of times. And there's no problem with using one song multiple times. But when there is only one battle song, it gets a bit redundant. Oh hey, this song is pretty good. It accompanies the battle well and is pretty catchy. Well, guess I'll be on my way. So, there are tons of repeated songs that just go on and on and on. But there are some seriously good songs in this playlist. They just only play once or twice, which can be annoying, but whatever. I'm not a game designer. I have no idea what I'm doing. So, I guess that's all there is to cover with the songs in the game. There can't possibly be anything I missed. You didn't think I could forget it, did you? One Winged Angel is a good song. An incredible song at that. The fact they managed to cram all these vocals and instruments and everything into a tiny stinky PS1 disc is just cool. There's a really interesting interview with the creator of this song on YouTube who explains how he made multiple tracks and placed them together like puzzle pieces to eventually make the song, and oh boy, did it turn out well. This song is what a final boss theme should be. No more of these stupid generic songs with like the giant orchestras and like whatever else they had. I want my Latin vocals. People don't talk about the song before One Winged Angel enough. Like, come on, man, this song is probably one of the best tracks in the game, but it just had to be overshadowed by One Winged Angel. DK, 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 DK. They're pretty easy. At the end of a lot of game reviews, the reviewer has a unique rating meter that they use, such as the moisture meter or whatever Donkey uses, I don't know what that's called. So for this video, I introduce you all the Fishometer. Final Fantasy VII is probably one of the best games I've ever played. Sure, it doesn't have great gameplay, the battle system is boring, and the whole game is kinda slow. But what it lacks in gameplay, it makes up for in story and charm. To quote the big man Donkey, this is a lighthearted game with serious moments, and that's what I love about it. It's nice to have a fun game that doesn't have to take itself seriously, that is also, get this, actually fun. In conclusion, on the Fishometer, I give this game an 8 out of 9. It has an incredible story, lovable characters, doesn't take itself seriously, and it's just a fun time. But I just remembered the random encounters. 0 out of 9.